Have you seen the hidden side? To early Christianity that mainstream church doesn't want, let's explore the mysterious world of the Gnostics, a group that felt they had secret keys, divine knowledge. Gnostic itself originates from Greek gnosis, meaning knowledge. But this wasn't your ordinary understanding, was profoundly spiritual. True cosmic revelation about the very nature of existence. The Gnostics that our physical world wasn't made by the genuine God. No, they taught something considerably greater. Provocative. According to their writings, the world was a trap constructed by a fake god they dubbed the Demiurge. This wasn't the kind and loving creator many identify with the Bible. Instead, the Demiurge was portrayed as crooked, jealous, and set on keeping humanity in shackles of ignorance, materialism, and illusion. Think about that for a second. What if everything you've been told concerning the origins of the universe was created to deter you from knowing the truth? The Gnostics didn't see salvation as something bestowed by a church or through external rituals. No, they believed it came from within. From understanding your divine spark, your connection to a higher reality beyond this illusory world, they glimpsed the material world as a type of jail and believed that only by awakening to this truth could you break free. But here's where things take an even darker turn. The Gnostic texts openly challenged the authority of religious institutions. They argued that blind loyalty to church leaders and dogma wasn't the way to enlightenment. Naturally, this didn't sit well with the early church, which saw them as a serious threat by the 4th century. The church had officially designated them heretics and systematically damaged their teachings. Also, they thinking in the mid-20th century, something spectacular happened. The Nag Hammadi library collection of ancient Gnostic manuscripts was uncovered in Egypt. These writings presented insights that had been buried for approximately 2 millennia, prompting new arguments on what the early Christians might have really believed. The Gnostics have been on to anything. Ask yourself, why was the church so desperate to silence them? Is merely about retaining control? Or were the Gnostics disclosing a truth too dangerous to be widely known? What if all you thought you know about God was upside down? The Gnostics dared to question the unfathomable. What if the deity worried in the Old Testament? Yahweh wasn't a benevolent creator. Yet the villain of the story, accordance to their revolutionary doctrines, Yahweh wasn't the ultimate God. Yet the Demiurge, a defective and dictatorial creature who made this damaged stuff earth as a prison for humanity, unlike the transcendent God of pure spirit and light that the Gnostics revered. The Demiurge was obsessed with domination. They witnessed his behavior in the Old Testament, not as indicators of divine justice, but as evidence of a darker truth. Think about it. Stories of floods wiping out humanity, cities being endless and unceasing requests for obedience. Might these be the deeds of a jealous, imperfect being attempting to keep his grip over creation? And this wasn't just about theology. It was personal. The Gnostics thought that every human contained inside the spark of divinity, a portion of the genuine God locked inside their mortal form. This spark was the Demiurge's greatest threat, and his major objective was to keep humanity oblivious to their divine origins, through the temptations of material affluence, everlasting suffering, and strict religious dogma. The Demiurge distracted souls from awakening to their true nature. The Gnostics didn't see their doctrines as mere speculation. They claimed to have accessed this knowledge through visions, mystical experiences, and secret revelations. They felt they were uncovering a huge conspiracy, one that the Lord over both the earthly and spiritual realms wished to keep concealed, and the evidence look attentively at the conflicts within the Bible. A God who is both compassionate and furious. A creator who expects entire worship, yet punishes his invention for being defective. To the Gnostics, they weren't. Mysteries should be blindly embraced. They were indicators pointing to the truth of the Demiurge nature. Yet why would the church suppress? Just picture the mayhem. If the foundation of their authority, their relationship to the deity of the Bible, was called into question. The Gnostics weren't just challenging theology. They were endangering the very power structures of their time. Here's a query that might turn everything you know about Christianity on its head. Was Jesus a rescuer, as the church teaches? Or was he a renegade sent to expose the ultimate deception? The Gnostics had a daring and revolutionary explain to them. Jesus wasn't the son of the Old Testament God, the Demiurge, nay, he was a messenger from the genuine God, a divine entity sent to awaken humanity from its spiritual slumber. The Gnostics saw Jesus not as a figure of sacrifice, but as a cosmic teacher, exposing the hidden information gnosis that could free souls from the deceptive reality of the tangible world. His objective wasn't about obedience or redemption through suffering. It was about enlightenment, self-discovery, and liberation from the control of the Demiurge. And here's where it gets really fascinating. The Gnostic Gospels, like the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Judas, present a dramatically different perspective on Jesus. These texts, rejected and silenced by the early church, depict him as a guide, pushing humanity to seek inward for the honesty. One of the most startling lines from the Gospel of Thomas says, "The kingdom of God is inside you and everybody around you, not in structures of wood and stone." Carefully on the implications of that. No temples, no priests, no need for religious intermediaries to the Gnostics. Salvation wasn't something offered by an external authority. It was already within you, waiting to be discovered. But this wasn't only a spiritual philosophy, it was a direct challenge to the power structures of organized religion. If people didn't need sacraments, dogma, or a hierarchy of priests, what role did the church fulfill? The Gnostic conception of Jesus wasn't just a threat to religious doctrine, it was a threat to the church, very existence. It's no wonder, then, that the early church labored so actively to destroy these alternative teachings. By the 4th century, the Council of Nicaea had cemented the narrative of Jesus as the devoted Son of the Creator God, whose death and resurrection offered salvation through the church. The Gnostic Gospels were outlawed, their followers punished, and their texts burned, but not everything was lost. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945 unearthed several of these ancient manuscripts, allowing us to glimpse the radical, transforming concepts the Gnostics credited to Jesus. Could it be that their concept of a spiritual savior, one focused on awakening rather than obedience, was closer to the truth? And here's the crucial question. If Jesus' lessons were meant to liberate humanity from the illusions of this world, what does that say about the version of his story we've been provided? Was the church's narrative and deliberate rewriting aimed to maintain authority over the massive? In 1945, something spectacular was unearthed in the Egyptian desert near Nag Hammadi, a discovery that transformed our knowledge of early Christianity and revealed secrets the church worked tirelessly to suppress, buried for nearly 1,600 years. These ancient Gnostic writings portrayed a picture of faith that was surprisingly different from what we've been taught. Among the valuables was the Gospel of Thomas, a collection of Jesus' sayings that made no mention of crucifixion, resurrection, or final judgment. Instead, it focused on mystical knowledge and self-realization, urging seekers to uncover the divine spark inside themselves. One of its most prominent lines reads, "He who searches, let him not cease searching until he discovers, and when he finds, he will be troubled. And when he is troubled, he will marvel." These remarks didn't preach terror or obedience. They urged readers to question reality itself. Another text, the Apocryphon of John, narrated a story that was almost cosmic science fiction. It characterized the Demiurge, a faulty and haughty being who falsely believed he was the ultimate God, the genuine God, unfathomable and beyond any shape, was concealed under the veils of illusion that the Demiurge had woven. This text explained the creation, viewing the material world as a form of cosmic accident, a prison for divine souls stuck in physical bodies. Why were these manuscripts buried in the first place, and why did the church go to such lengths to destroy them? These essays didn't only offer alternate interpretations of Christian theology, they blatantly rejected the authority of the institutional church. They argued that redemption didn't come from rituals, priesthood, or dogma, but through personal awakening, to a church that was building its power on centralized control. This was little short of heresy. The early church characterized Gnostic beliefs as dangerous, declaring their texts forbidden by the 4th century. Following Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire. The church launched campaigns to root out and destroy these alternative teachings. The Nag Hammadi library survived only because someone, likely a Gnostic monk, hid the books in a jar and buried them in the sands of history. Yet this revelation raises even more unsettling asks: what else might possibly be hidden? What other ancient truths, buried or burned, could challenge the stories we've been told? The Gnostics didn't merely speak of the Demiurge as the false deity ruling over the earthly world. They also warned of his servants, the archons. These spiritual entities, according to Gnostic scriptures, work how to keep humanity imprisoned in a state of ignorance and distraction. The archons are characterized as mysterious powers that influence reality itself. They thrive on confusion, feeding off human fear, greed, and infatuation with the tangible realm, their goal to assure we never realize the divine flame within us, the peace of the genuine God that could let us free. Here's where it gets extremely eerie. Some modern thinkers have drawn disturbing parallels between the archons of Gnostic law and concepts discovered in conspiracy theories, ufology, and even occult traditions. Think about it: stories of alien overlords, interdimensional beings, or even demons manipulating humanity share striking similarities with the archons. May the Gnostics have been describing something real, an ancient understanding of forces we are only now beginning to glimpse through the prism of modern science and spirituality. The Nag Hammadi library presents extensive accounts of these entities. In writings like the Hypostasis of the Archons are shown as powerful yet imperfect beings, unable to develop something of their own. Instead, they corrupt, distort, and arrest their leader. The Demiurge is ignorant to his own limitations, believing himself to be the supreme deity. The archons, his slaves, execute out his will by spreading turmoil and material distractions to keep humanity from awakening to the higher truth. Now let's connect the dots. In modern ufology reports of manipulating extraterrestrial beings like the infamous Greys or reptilians bear a remarkable likeness to the archons. These entities are often defined as cold, uncaring, and driven via control, much like the Gnostic description of the archons as beings devoid of true creativity or illumination. Even in quantum physics and consciousness investigates the idea of an interlinked reality being altered by unseen forces is getting traction. If the archons are real, what is their ultimate goal? The Gnostics believed they wished to keep humanity imprisoned in a false reality, unable to access our divinity origins. May we be inadvertent players in a cosmic game, a war for our souls with the archons pulling the strings. The idea appears far-fetched, but think regarding the patterns in our world. Infinite distractions, methods of control designed to keep us focused on material wealth and status. Might they be modern manifestations of the archons' impact? By the 4th century, the Roman Church had turned from a persecuted faith into an institution of tremendous power. And with that power came a mission to define and govern Christian ideology for the Gnostics. Those early Christians who embrace hidden knowledge and rejected the material world as the labor of the false god Demiurge. This signified the beginning of the end. The turning point came with Emperor Constantine's dramatic conversion to Christianity. Constantine's concept of a unified empire needs a unified faith, and Gnosticism with its fractured factions. Its unconventional teachings didn't fit with the strategy. Under Constantine's influence, the Church convened the Council of Nicaea around 325 CE, an incident that confirmed the founding of Orthodox Christianity. It was here that doctrines such as the divinity of Jesus, the nature of the Trinity, and the authority of church leaders were codified for the Gnostics. This was a death sentence, not merely figuratively, but literally. The council didn't simply ignore their beliefs, it declared them heretical. Gnostic texts, which offered vastly varied views of Jesus' teachings and the nature of salvation, were outlawed. Worse still, the Church began a strong campaign to eradicate them entirely. Gnostic writings were burned, their leaders chased down, and their communities forced into hiding. The suppression was organized and cruel as the Roman Empire wielded Christianity as a tool for unification. It also armed at opposing dissent. The Gnostics, believing in a divine spark within each one that needs no church or priest to access, was a direct threat to the ladder of power. The Gnostics taught emancipation through self-awareness and personal awakening, not through obedience to external authorities to the church. This was more than heresy. It was rebellion. But the Gnostics were resilient. Their teachings didn't fade overnight while their communities were spread and their influence decreased. Remnants of their beliefs survived. Some were preserved in hidden manuscripts like the Nag Hammadi library discovered in 1945, which contained writings like the Gospel of Thomas and the Apocrypha of John. These books gave an uncommon peek into the thoughts of those early Christians who ventured to question the popular narrative. Gnostic ideas also re-emerged in different ways. Throughout history, throughout the Middle Ages, the Cathars, a Christian sect in southern France, reintroduced concepts that echoed Gnostic philosophy: a scorn for the material world, a belief in secret knowledge, and a rejection of the authority of the Catholic Church. The Cathars were mercilessly eliminated during the Alien Crusade, a campaign initiated by the Church to crush what they deemed another grave heresy. Still, the questions highlighted by the Gnostics continue to haunt us. What if their persecution wasn't simply about sustaining religious purity? What if it was about concealing a terrible truth? The Gnostics didn't simply challenge the Church. They challenged the very foundation of authority, power, and control in human society. They gave a vision of humanity that didn't require rulers, intermediaries, or institutions. Only the fortitude to look inward and seek the divine light within. Picture how different the world might be if the Gnostic planet VIW had survived as a dominant force. Would we live in a society less concerned on material wealth and control? Would we see organized religion as a road to spiritual truth? Or would it be considered as an instrument of oppression? The Church's crusade against the Gnostics was more than a religious battle. It was a battle to define what humanity could and could not believe. In eliminating the Gnostics, they assured that one interpretation of Christianity became the cornerstone of Western civilization. But as the sands of history change and the hidden voices of the past re-emerge, we're left wondering, what have we lost? And what could we still reclaim? Though the Gnostics were practically purged from history, their ideas have never truly disappeared in truth. Their teachings have found fresh life in our modern society. The notion of waking up to a false reality isn't only a vestige of ancient philosophy. It's the core idea of blockbuster films like The Matrix. The concept that we're caught in an illusion generated by unseen forces talks to something deep within the human experience, a timeless inquiry regarding the nature of existence today. Gnostic concepts are reflected in everything from spiritual self-help movements to New Age philosophy. The belief in a greater truth. It can only be accessed through self-awareness, and inner awakening resonates in a world that frequently feels captivated with materialism and control. We see it in calls to wake UPS to societal manipulation, in talks about breaking away from the influence of systems designed to keep us preoccupied, and in the hunt for meaning beyond the physical and ordinary. Yet why now? Why are Gnostic concepts more relevant than ever? Some argue that we're living in a period of unprecedented disconnection, disconnected from ourselves, from one another, and from the natural universe. The Gnostics believed the material world was a trap, intended to blind us to the divine spark. Living in a society dominated by screens, consumerism, and relentless noise, their warnings feel eerily prophetic. Yet Gnosticism isn't without its detractors. Some regard it as an overly pessimistic worldview, a rejection of the beauty and worth of the physical world. Others worry that its emphasis on hidden knowledge and individual awakening might lead to loneliness or a sensation of supremacy. Still retains core idea that we must challenge the nature of reality and explore deeper truths continues to inspire, and perhaps that's why their message endures. The Gnostics didn't just disrupt the current quo. They invited us to do the same. They remind us that truth isn't given down from above. It's anything we must look for ourselves. So what do you think? Do the Gnostics give a timeless guide to awakening? Or are their teachings a harmful distraction from reality? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your viewpoint. Thank you so much for watching this video and joining us on this trip into the mysterious and thought-provoking universe of the Gnostics. Your time, attention, and curiosity mean the world to us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might find this fascinating. Until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep awakening. See you in the next one.